volume, everything looking good.
Everything is good.
Let's slide this thing back just a little
Okay.
bit. Then I can actually see the face. And that plant's not in the way. There we go.
Alright, man, this is just, another one of our very serious, very deep, very intimate conversations.
Love it.
With this wall that's just kind of brought in but not here, right? And we're good.
We're good.
Okay,
We're
so
rolling. Everything's
this is
good.
my first time on this side of the camera with this project. This is the Shine Project. I am one of the directors, producers, Zachary Deontay Penix. This is the Shine Project, where your passion pays you. Sometimes that can even mean where your passion changes the world. I have the pleasure of sitting down with a great friend, a change agent, a scholar, a beverage connoisseur, a developer, a mover and shaker, Mr. Lance Nation. And we're just gonna sit back and get his story, man. So, I mean, we just broke some more records tonight, man. Do you want to start there?
Yeah. I mean, if just jump on in. Yeah. So we're sitting down in Kava Club, which talking about beverages. Brought over a little bottle for us. Just pour a shell out and just chat it up a little bit. Yeah, so this place has been sort of a dream of mine that I've just been fortunate to be brought into. Lived in the South Pacific for years, and everything that I'm sort of involved in now stems from that time. And this place is Kava Club. It's Virginia's only non-alcoholic bar and Kava bar here in Richmond. And the cool thing about it is that it's sort of my home in many ways. COVID was weird for all of us, but the beautiful thing that came out of that, several things did for me. What was that? I got sober. I got clean, I got sober, and there wasn't anywhere for me to hang out. I was a bar fly for years. I was a mixologist. I was your classic bartender, and this place opened up and it just became home. And from that, built a partnership with my business. But today, was amazing. We shattered our sales record, and we actually proved that this business can be successful here in Virginia, and that success leads into the success of my heart, of my drive, of my call, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful night. So I just want to say, cheers to that, man.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. It was your help and everybody else that came out tonight that got us here. So it's beautiful.
So I'm a philosophy brat, man. And one of the core philosophies in the Shine Project is the Ubuntu philosophy. I am because you are, and that kind of just grounded aspect. I mean, I see in so many of the things, but how do you think something like that kind of affects your choices and your movements?
I am because you are. There's the beautiful simplicity in that. That's just, most things that are real are just beautiful because they're simple. I'm only here because of everybody else that's been around me, that's been part of my life, that has shared patience and love and understanding, but then also those that have shown hate and have been spiteful and have reacted in negative ways, and that has just shaped every single aspect of me. I was born here in Virginia and joined a beautiful family that still is around, and blessed for that. There's the classic trials and tribulations of that. Mom and dad got divorced, but they were both always active in my life. And I've been fortunate to know that I've had this support behind me even when I felt alone, even when I was doing things on my own that wasn't probably the best for me.
Yeah.
But always there to like encourage and to be there. And so immediately when I hear that statement, I think of that lifelong support that has just let me grow and thrive. And I've been beyond blessed to have that. And that's led me into the work where I am now. If it's social justice here in Richmond, if it's, advocating and fighting to stop like bureaucratic oversight and executive overreach that's affecting our lives in ways that is just biased and wrong, to working with communities halfway around the world that I was fortunately able to just spend years with.
Yeah.
And I can't, that statement is just so stunningly beautiful. I am because you are. And I'm here right now because you're doing the Shine Project, man. Like there's no more simple way to put that. And I would be anywhere without anybody else.
You got to touch on it a little bit right there. Just everything that you do, you bring a special kind of impact to. Whether in this turning point that you found, or what part of this journey and being a change agent has been the most rewarding for you?
Most rewarding? I think it's almost those little day in and day out interactions where I just follow my heart and it puts me out into the world and then something beautiful happens. That if I just stayed at home and decided to, not cloister myself up or get too bogged down in my own journey and my own work, that I wouldn't really see the opportunities that are there. I mean, I grew up in this beautiful family, and my mom's been this source of inspiration. I mean, she was the one that it was always, we were the house of strays, like, be it dogs, be it cats, be it people. It wasn't weird for me to come home and there's something new in the house. And she just taught me that I gotta participate in this world, and then really showed me the beauty of that participation. And if I gotta highlight one specific moment recently, I'm on a high from tonight. This is the third official event that we've launched, and we're super excited to see like what we can do with the Small House Toilet Project. But if there's a specific moment, man, that's a hard one. Wish I'd had this question to think about for a second there. A specific moment that I personally am most proud of is probably something that I don't get to take credit for at all. It was probably just my sobriety, and it was the first time I walked into a room with people that I had never met before, and it's an AA meeting. I walk in and they're like, "Oh, hey, welcome, yada yada yada." I'm like, "Hey, like, is this your first time at this meeting? Is this your first time I was down in Norfolk, Virginia. What brought you in today?" And I just turned, I'm like, "This is my first meeting ever." And the most joyful part of that was within that hour meeting, I was just like, yep. That fear that kept me from really identifying and just saying like, yeah, I'm an alcoholic, I'm an addict, I gotta get that help, to stop making it like the cool thing to do. I'd always picture myself as like your next Hemingway or your next David Foster Wallace or Hunter S. Thompson, like, oh, I can go get fucked up. I can go and do this thing, and I can always make myself better because, you know, I'll be that special case. And that humility and to learn, like, I'm not special. That, like, death of my ego is such a beautiful little moment that I had.
Absolutely.
And it's not because of me. It goes back to the I am because you are moment. Yeah, it's gotta be it.
I feel like that's gotta breathe for a second, but like this adaptability of just your perspective within your acts is a community participation kind of hand in hand with success to you.
Oh yeah.
And your involvement into what capacity, because I mean, from the day I met you, you've been heavily involved in community, and you know, I know that was the case everywhere you've been. I'm sure you know, to a degree can understand the same from my story, but you know, like, well, we haven't even really zoomed in on, so tell me about your nonprofit, man.
Oh, right, I'll take it.
How many years have you been, you know, fortunate enough to run this?
Yeah, so the organization that I run, or I co-founded, it's called the Small House Toilet Project.
Yeah.
Small house is slang for restroom down in the South Pacific, and it is sort of the child of my wife Chelsea and myself. We joined the Peace Corps in 2018. We left the U.S. We went down to an island nation called Vanuatu, and we worked as water sanitation and hygiene volunteers. COVID happened and it cut our contract short. So the running joke is that we were evicted, deported, and fired in 24 hours. So I found myself on a plane coming back to the States, calling my mom and saying, hey, like, so I'm coming home, and also, I'm engaged, and my fiance is coming back, and we have nowhere else to go, so can I come back home and live in a place that I hadn't lived since practically I was 18, since I left for college? Of course, my mom said, yeah, this is gonna be amazing. Beautiful heart and soul that she is. But we both realized really almost immediately when we landed that our work wasn't done in Vanuatu. So we founded this organization to address the sanitation needs of women and girls in the South Pacific. The sanitation stats are startling, man. Like, you look at education, for instance, half of all secondary schools lack adequate sanitation worldwide. Means like 1 out of every 2 girls, if you take away the stigmas around menstruation, if you take away the stigmas around women's education, there's a physical barrier of sanitation, the lack of sanitation, that prevents 1 out of every 2 girls from fully participating in her school, fully being able to gain an education, because there's simply not a toilet or water somewhere for her to take care of her menstrual needs. And then you apply that for later on in life for so many of these young girls when they go to have their first child and they're going to a clinic that doesn't have water, doesn't have showers, can't be clean enough for her to rely on. And so we are stuck in a situation where there's millions of women having children at home simply because their clinic that they rely on for healthcare can't support maternal healthcare needs. And we founded this, sort of became an idea. We're sitting at an oyster bar in Norfolk, Virginia, and I'm like, yeah, let's do this thing. And Chelsea thinks I'm crazy, my wife. And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, you're not getting the job you want. Why don't I just create the job you want for you? She's like, you're talking crazy. Like, what are you trying to get at? I said, I want to found an organization to continue the work we were doing in Vanuatu. We knew that we wanted to focus on women and girls immediately because we had lived in these communities for almost 2 years, and we knew the struggles that were being faced. And so in, let's call it June, July of 2021, I said I want to have a toilet project, something, and I want to call it the something project. And Chelsea turns and says, small house, and slang for toilet in the South Pacific. And I was just like, oh yeah, small house. And she goes, yeah, so small house toilet project. And then it clicked. We both saw the acronym. We both saw it, the SHT project. We are the shit project, and we build toilets.
I'm going now.
Toilets.
You do you think your passion and Chelsea's passion, of course, to the degree that you're comfortable speaking for it, but do you think it was really clicking just by being able to see it, or do you think you could have been this fired up just knowing? Because, and the reason I ask is because you do a really good job through this organization by showing us what we are supporting and extending that connectedness to everybody that supports this mission. So, do you think that you could have been, awoken without seeing?
Ooh. I think that there's a lot of causes that I believed were an issue before I saw it. And there's a lot of causes that I would and will participate in that I didn't experience firsthand. Just giving the background noise a second there. We got
This
a
one
busy
breathe.
night.
It's gonna breathe. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
They gotta
But
keep working. Yeah.
The biggest thing I think is that would I have identified sanitation as a need by myself? No. Did Chelsea know it was a need? Absolutely. And Chelsea went to school and got a degree in environmental engineering, focusing on wastewater systems, knowing that she wanted to go into international sanitation work at 18. Like, you can't.
You gotta take your hat off to it.
Yeah, she's a baller. Like, she planned this out and she knew it. I'm fortunate that, like, I saw what was happening and I found a life partner, a business partner, and a best friend that had the skill set and had dedicated so much of her life already to learning the skills to be able to make this a reality. I'm like your jack of all trades. I'm the one that gets the marching orders and I go in and I, sleep on the dirt floor for several weeks every single year to build trust in the communities that we're working with, and picking up the shovel and digging the holes for the septic systems. But all of the design and all of the technical work that needed to be understood before we even put a shovel in the ground is already known because of her. And if, to directly answer your question of would I have been able to identify this without seeing it, I wouldn't have. Chelsea could have, absolutely. Would I have started an organization that I hadn't seen firsthand? No. I think that that's just like a straight up no, I wouldn't have. Because who am I to start something if I don't know about it?
Yeah.
Like, the work I do around social justice here in Richmond, like advocating for affordable housing, working on like the developments of our mobile homes or mobile home parks, how policing is done in areas of high gun violence. I don't take lead on those. I follow the people that are the experts. I follow people that I trust, and I know that those are real, tangible issues. And so I just take the orders, and I sort of apply that to the small house toilet project. Chelsea gives me the technical orders, and the community gives me the real tangible orders. I don't go in and tell people, "Hey, you want this? Like, exactly want this." You're likely to just take it, like, because it's like nobody wants. I don't think anybody actually wants to be given anything.
Man.
We have this concept that we do.
Probably the people, yeah.
But it's not that it's not given something that's like free for the sake of being free. We should already have the things that were taken from us. So justice is the restoration of that which was taken. It's not giving something to you that was free or you didn't have before. So the lack of sanitation for me and working with these communities, it's mothers can't access their clinic because of a lack of sanitation. That access was taken from them. It was there, and then it was taken because of the lack of sanitation. So it's not giving something freely, it's providing a resource so that what should have already existed does. And these communities are the ones that take lead. They say what project, they say where, they say how, and then I just support it. We just support it. It's not, for instance, this first one. I thought we were gonna work with the school. I show up to this community of 8,500 people down on a small island called Tana. I'm like, hey guys, like, let's get some stuff done, right? Let's address the needs of the school. There's girls that can't go to school because they can't take care of their menstrual needs. I'm like, Lance, it's an elementary school. I'm like, I know that, but still, fifth and sixth grade, because their elementary goes up to sixth grade. And I'm like, that's the years that these girls need to make sure that they're in school, because then they're going on to seventh and eighth, to secondary and primary. To secondary and university. Like, while that's an issue, there's only 1 out of every 5 women in this community that can give birth at this clinic because of the lack of sanitation. So you can go mess with the school if you want. We're gonna work on the clinic.
Yeah.
They straight up told me, no, we don't want that.
No.
And I said, awesome. No questions asked. It's their community. They know they know their needs better than I ever will. It doesn't matter if I spend 10 years, 20 years there. It's, while I consider it one of my homes, I fell in love with people, and I love the place, but the people will always know their place so much more than I will.
So, would you say success looks like increased equity to you?
Oh, increased equity, yeah.
Yeah.
I think success. So,
Because you
yeah,
are listening
yeah.
to,
Jump into that question a little bit more for me. What are you asking there?
you said justice is the restoration of things that were once, everybody's. So, this is not success is not of course you would like to change the trajectory of all the islands in the Southern Pacific, but if you can increase the equity in one community first and then tier it out, is each of these ways success?
Oh, yes.
Or do you have to see the full scope of your work, right? Like you understand the success I see, right?
That would be if I thought that success was all of Vanuatu, or even let's make it hyper specific. So I work on an island called Tana. If success was measured in ensuring that everyone on Tana had full access to schools and clinics, if that was my metric, then that metric would need to expand out to Vanuatu, and then the world. And who am I to think that I can solve a crisis as big as ours? Crisis gets tossed out a lot, but half the world's population lacks adequate sanitation. I cannot let pride jump on there and be like, I'm gonna be that one. Look at me. No. That ego has to die. Success for me is this first project. At the end of January of this coming year, I will jump back in on a plane and I will go to Vanuatu, and we will have raised the funds to complete this one project. And God forbid I get on a plane and that plane doesn't make it back, the work is still successful at that point. It's not half-assed, it's not half done. If one child survives because her mother or his mother was able to access their clinic, successful.
mean, that's one of the many things you're looking forward to, but outside of that, there's some things that, you know, you're really excited about here in Richmond, or that you got coming up, you know, what do you
We want to talk about RVA, man. I'm super excited to get a new mayor. Super excited about that. And while our current mayor,
I don't think many people like it.
nobody really likes him. I don't think really anybody likes him. But our current mayor is just like the representation of like most politicians. Like, take Mayor Stoney and then you apply it to so many others, and you're just serving your ego. You're serving yourself under the guise of helping others. And I mean, you look at like the presidential office. I'm not going to go into that. But it's ego and pride saying like, I can be the solution. I can solve your problems, while knowing that you're doing it just for the betterment of yourself. And I'm excited about the mayor because I think that there's actual potential for this, for Danny to make some changes in Richmond that are positive. But you can't rely on your elected officials. You can't. Yeah, they're not gonna ever really help out unless you force them to. So here in Richmond, I love this group called RISC, Richmonders Involved in Strengthening Our Community. It's an ecumenical group of 28 different denominations around town, so synagogues, Baptist churches, Catholic churches, UUs, and we use collective power of people, because that's what we all have. Like, what are we up against? We're up against individuals with a ton of money versus us, the people. And those people with money just want to divide us and tell us that, oh, it's somebody else's problem. It's your neighbor's fault because they're X, Y, and Z. But when we actually unite and we form collectives and we get a real group of people that are just dedicated to change, to being those agents, like there's a lot of room for potential. And I think the most beautiful, cool thing in Richmond that I'm excited for is probably gun violence intervention. Richmond's been, like a lot of American cities, it's been renowned for gun violence, especially in the poorer neighborhoods. So many folks find themselves stuck and they grab a gun and they go try to find a solution. And gun violence intervention is a program that's been implemented in dozens of cities around the world. Cincinnati is one of the biggest ones, but let's make it hyper-focused and hyper-specific so that people don't think it's, because of the different vibes or this and that, and like Richmond's just a different city. 3 years ago, group violence intervention was brought to Richmond, and it was fully paid for through a grant, applied for and won by a group called Real Life. They do a bunch of, they take individuals that have reformed their lives after being in jail, and then they help them find kids and young guys and gals that are struggling like they did, to make sure that they get on the right course. But Real Life brings this money to the city and says, we have this free program that has been proven to drop homicides by gun violence by 50%. Proven.
Yeah.
It's not just like, oh, we might. And Stoney's like, nah, let's not do it. And so then they're like, well, we still need this in town, so Hopewell implemented it. They took it, and in the last year, Hopewell has seen a 70% drop in homicides by gun violence. And the overall stat for just like gun violence, I'd have to check that, but it's just startling. You're just like, wow. And that's in this neighborhood. That's in our backyard for Richmond. And so that's why I'm excited about the new mayor. It's not because I believe he's capable of doing something. I just think he might say yes to a program drastically change Richmond, and it'll be great.
Man,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess I should get ready to let you go, but
No, man, ask away. They're still
no,
cleaning up.
so yeah, no, I definitely got a few more things to pick your brain. Well, to bring our fourth wall back in, if there was a piece of wisdom you'd share with the next generation of change makers, just a nugget.
Little nugget of wisdom.
Little nugget of
Man,
wisdom.
it's like, it's so weird because the first thing I wanted to say was like, kill the ego. But then it's like, isn't it the ego that's telling me like, oh, this is the nugget of wisdom, like, kill that ego. Like, it's like that catch-22.
Wise. This is wise.
Yeah, this is wise. I got a good idea. No, honestly, this is what I would just say, is that it's a grind. Like, don't think you're gonna do one thing and it's gonna work. Don't think that like this one group is the answer or the solution, and don't think that you're the first person that's failed because of it, or has failed because you tried. I think we have this concept that's been built up that we're so scared to try something because we're worried it's not gonna be perfect. And the moment that you get out of your house, you get out of like the chair behind the desk, and you just go out into the world and you try to do something, there's going to be a beauty that comes about it. Like today I was passing out some literature about the ship project, and I had multiple people. I mean, I had a dude that had like his wife and 3 daughters, and was like, hey, I'd just like to hand you this. It's for World Toilet Day, supporting women and girl sanitation needs around the world. And he's like, no. He cuts off everybody else. Like his wife was coming over to grab it, and he's just like, no, and like shoos everybody away. And it sort of pissed me off a little bit. Not gonna lie, I'm like, dude, like what? And but then I had 3 people actually stop and like chat with me. And so if I had let that one dude or that one feeling of like, oh, I'm done with this, like stop me, it would have been a bad day. Just grind.
Yeah.
Just grind. Just grind.
Yeah. If you had a call to action for the people, what would you tell them? Other than donate.
For the ship project or in general? Because the donate's for the ship project.
For Lance Nation.
Call to action for me. I can talk to myself.
And then for the people. Because this will be a good
You better be listening to the Shine Project while you're driving to get some shit done. Because if you're just sitting there watching and listening to this without any intention of getting it, why are you chiming in? Like,
Yeah.
and that's me talking to myself. That's me thinking about those late nights, like, you know, when I get stuck in like an internet like scroll cycle that just like takes away too many hours. I'm like, how did an hour and a half just pass? But then I think back on the day, and I was so like angry that it took me an hour and a half to get some literature or to read something important that I needed, but yet I just wasted that time. So just my call to action is, I'm gonna keep it real simple. My call to action is act.
Yeah.
That's gotta be it. Just act.
I think I gave you that one. No.
Oh yeah, probably I heard it.
Man.
Very cool.
Well, bro,
Yeah.
I appreciate the chop up,
Yeah.
man.
Love it, brother.
Man, absolutely. Thank you, bro.